Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back.
Hi everyone, I finally went to pick up my phone, so let's get straight into a quick unboxing. This time I went with the silver version, not because it's cheaper on the secondhand market. Well, actually, let's just say it matches my aesthetic better. The packaging is surprisingly thoughtful. It even comes with an iPhone strip. Wow, they've packed everything really carefully, and the inner strap slides out smoothly with a nice bit of damping. The box itself looks pretty much exactly like what you've seen in the advertisements, and honestly, it feels like packaging worth at least 300 yuan.
A quick shout to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out our exciting tech content.
The phone itself isn't the main attraction here, so I'm gonna put it to the side for now. Inside, you get a silicone case with magnetic attachment support. The edges are thick and soft, although they definitely look like the kind of material that could pick up oil pretty easily. There's also a small piece of scrap paper, a wrist strap, and a metal magnetic stand. About this wrist strap, this Honor phone might actually be the only domestic phone in the past decade that lets you attach a wrist strap without needing to attach it directly to the phone itself. And of course, there's also a 120-watt charger. The dual USB-C port setup is simple and straightforward. 99.712 centimeters. And that's basically the complete package. After all, this is a 13,000 yuan phone, which works out to roughly 1,450 pounds in the UK and $1,927 in the US. So at that price, you'd expect the packaging and accessories to be pretty generous, right? Now, let's take a closer look at the main unit. The robot's display is just 6.3 inches, which by 2026 standards is definitely on the smaller side. But that actually makes sense, because a gimbal phone is designed to be used with one hand. If the body were much wider, it would become uncomfortable to grip. Take a look at the book-like details on the metal frame. There's something oddly nostalgic about them. Xperia may be gone, but you can still feel a little bit of that spirit here. And then there's this rear design. I honestly can't believe they didn't take some inspiration from the iPhone. It's presented as such an innovative concept, yet the design itself feels anything but original. People always say good design is universal, but then you have to wonder, why do ugly designs keep surviving? Once you put the case on, the top-heavy appearance becomes even more obvious, mainly because the gimbal itself is so large. Personally, I'd rather attach the metal bracket to the back. At least that would make the phone look less plain, while also adding a little extra weight. But with the entire setup, you're looking at around 300 grams. A 6.3-inch phone that weighs 300 grams? Do you think you could actually handle that? And then we have the lens cover. The transparent material feels really nice when you touch it. When you're not using it, you can actually use it as protection for the gimbal lens. However, when the drone is placed flat without its case, this lens cover becomes the only part touching the ground, which is slightly concerning. And it picks up fingerprints very easily, and that can potentially affect image quality. The mechanism is exposed on all sides too, so it looks like it could easily collect dust and even develop fogging issues. And this RoboPhone only has an IP54 rating, so after taking a shower, I definitely keep it far away from water. With such a high level of protection, the chances of the device completely failing because of an accidental drop are almost zero. Still, you should obviously treat it carefully during everyday use. But enough with the complaints. Just look at that sleek, mechanical design of the gimbal. You can feel a slight vibration from the motor friction, and the way it unfolds is incredibly smooth. Before I actually got my hands on it, I was pretty skeptical because of all the advertising, but now that I have it, oh my God, I'm genuinely excited. How do I even describe it? It feels more muscular than Galax or DJI. If Galax gives you that satisfying clicking and clacking feeling, Honor has a completely different character. Honestly, it's difficult to put into words. You'll just have to imagine what I mean. I actually think Honor should give it a powerful startup sound effect. Seriously, they need to add that. As for the gimbal itself, though, I'm not particularly interested in its imaging capabilities. For one thing, modern smartphones already use OIS, EIS solutions on their main cameras, and they can achieve pretty stable video recording without something like this. On the other hand, Honor's imaging performance hasn't exactly been outstanding in recent years. That said, this collaboration between Honor and ARRI could theoretically bring some improvements. Just look at this rather melancholic interface. Look at that cinematic feel. And then there's this completely unnecessary time-consuming animation every time you switch it on and off.
A lot of brands that were once barely known have suddenly become almost legendary in the eyes of many people. And honestly, this UI is very user-friendly. The peak display during autofocus seems to be something that no other brand currently offers. That said, switching between the three cameras still isn't particularly smooth. There's also another limitation. Neither 4K 120 FPS nor 8K recording supports the ultra-wide camera. Even when the gimbal is turned on, whether you select vertical or horizontal shooting, vertical mode is limited to 2.8K. If you want to record in full resolution 4K, you're left with a surprisingly small preview window. The gimbal shooting experience should feel pretty familiar if you've used DJI video before. The only thing is, the virtual button controls have a certain feel to them. Well, they work. Let's just say they're usable. Now, when it comes to image quality, here's some footage recorded on the Honor, and this is footage from the iPhone 17 Pro. And finally, this is what the Luma Ultra captured. Which one do you think looks best out of the three? Of course, we'll save the detailed image quality comparison for the full review. What I'm actually more interested in is the robot functionality of this gimbal, because that's clearly the biggest selling point in Honor's advertising. But after using it for just one day, I can already say there's still a pretty noticeable gap compared with the 7th generation. The camera recognition itself isn't particularly impressive either. In terms of accuracy and response speed, it's basically in the same range as what we see from other brands. Conversation is also still painfully slow, almost like trying to squeeze water from a stone. There are some very basic gestures that it still doesn't understand properly. It can't even write a paper directly for me. Instead, I have to jump back into the regular YOYO app to get that done. And as of the second day after launch, the robot still hasn't been fully integrated with the YOYO model. I still need to manually locate different AI entry points depending on what I want it to do. Put simply, this robot feels more like a servant among many rather than the manager controlling everything. I'm not saying that the robot is difficult to use, it's just that at this stage, I haven't discovered anything particularly groundbreaking about its interaction efficiency. The amount of information the gimbal itself provides is also fairly limited. If Honor has essentially built nothing more than a mobile geeky app, then the robot's marketing and the phone's price might be getting ahead of themselves. But honestly, I really hope there's more to it than that. There's another issue I noticed. When the gimbal is operating, whether you're using the robot features or simply recording video, the upper section of the device gets extremely hot. Battery life is something I still need to test properly, but judging from the design and what I've experienced so far, the gimbal probably isn't particularly power efficient. It works better as a table stand too. Once you use the stand, there's no way to stop the phone from charging, and because the robot interface doesn't support a horizontal layout, you really can't use it comfortably while the phone is plugged in. A charging port positioned on the side would have made much more sense here. Hopefully, Honor eventually releases a dedicated charging stand. So after my first full day with it, my initial impression is that the RoboPhone is still quite different from the robot phone I had imagined. But I wouldn't call it disappointing. It's more like it landed within my expectations. Whenever a completely new form factor enters the market, there are bound to be plenty of problems in the beginning. Still, I have to give Honor credit for coming up with such an unusual and ambitious concept. And interestingly, ever since the phone launched, several of my friends who have elderly parents or autistic children have asked me whether this device could actually work as a companion robot. That tells me something important. The concept of a giant robot phone clearly has a potential market.
But whether this particular phone can actually succeed will depend almost entirely on Honor's future product strategy, its execution, and most importantly, how serious the company is about supporting the idea. This phone needs an entire ecosystem of supporting accessories and software. If it ends up being nothing more than a mirror-like gimbal recording device, then at best, this is simply an imaging flagship that took a wrong turn. And with the amount of video equipment I already have, I'm certainly not going to let a single phone dictate my entire setup. But just imagine what could happen if this thing eventually learned to genuinely understand and see the world around us. Imagine it waking us up in the morning, talking with us in the evening, and actually becoming a companion instead of just another gadget. And if we want to take the idea even further, Honor could theoretically develop a four-limbed exoskeleton for it. You could place the phone inside and suddenly the entire device transforms into an actual robot. Now that would really make it a robophone. Knowing what we know about Honor as a brand, do you think something like that is actually possible? For now, I'm going to use this phone as my main device for a while and see if I can figure out how to unlock its full potential. Of course, I'll also be paying close attention to battery life, camera performance, and all the limitations of the gimbal. Because no matter how impressive this thing might be, at the end of the day, it's still a smartphone. Once the initial wave of attention from this video dies down, I'll get started on a full Honor robophone review as quickly as possible. And I really mean it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Oh, you didn't expect this one, did you? I'm back. Just half an hour before this video was scheduled to go live, my robophone actually malfunctioned. Normally, when you open or close the gimbal, the phone should detect the status of the lens cover. If the cover is closed, it should warn you to open it before using the gimbal. But now, the lens cover has become completely opaque. And even when the cover is closed, the gimbal is making this strange creaking and scraping sound internally. And there's also no foolproof protection mechanism when the gimbal retracts. I've already contacted Honor's after-sales service to see how they're going to handle the issue. Hopefully, this is just an isolated case. Stay tuned for the update. Bye-bye.